Today's Cleveland Browns Report is probably the most jam-packed news and rumors-filled show we have ever done on this channel, with everything happening between Baker Mayfield sounding like he's done in Cleveland, to the Deshaun Watson trade rumors update, to the Browns just being involved in free agency. They made some moves, made some signings, released Austin Hooper. So stick with me as we break all this down, but let's start things off by looking at Baker Mayfield, because it sounds like his time in Cleveland is done. The Colts are rumored to be interested in Baker, and with everything Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are doing to try and get Deshaun Watson, it seemed like they were going to go down a path of no return. And then Baker Mayfield posted a pretty heartfelt goodbye message on Twitter. We'll look at that in a moment. But this is something I've talked about for a couple days now, that after the Browns made it pretty public they were looking to get Deshaun Watson and looking at other quarterbacks, it seemed like this was they went past a place of no return, right? How can you bring Baker back after just openly flirting with all these other quarterbacks, trying to improve at the position? And that's the business. And so I don't think anyone's feelings should be hurt, but that was a risk they were going to take. And I'm going to extrapolate on what's backup and what's plan B in a moment. But let's look at what Baker said on Twitter. If you missed it, here's his tweet. Cleveland, the past 4 years have been nothing short of truly life-changing since I heard my name called in the draft to go to Cleveland. This is not a message with hidden meaning. This is strictly to thank the city of Cleveland for embracing my family and me. We have made many memories and shared growing in this process through all the ups and downs. I have no clue what happens next, which is the meaning behind the silence I have had during the duration of this process. I can only control what I can, which is trusting in God's plan throughout the process. I have given this franchise everything I have. That is something I've always done at every stage and at every level. And that will not change wherever I take my next snap. Whatever happens, I just want to say thank you to the fans who truly embrace who I am and the mentality that aligned so well with this city's hardworking people. Cleveland will always be a part of Emily and my story, and we will always be thankful for the impact it has had and will have in our lives. Sincerely, Baker Mayfield. Let me ask this question before I dive more into it. Do you think Baker's going to return for 2022? Y for yes, N for no. I think it's a closed book at this point, right? This is what I've been saying, that the bridge is on fire and it's collapsing. Right? There's just no way the Browns can walk all this back and act like nothing happened if they don't end up with Deshaun Watson and still have Baker Mayfield come back. And if I'm Baker, I don't know, you know how emotional he can be. You think he wants to come back and play? With the latest Deshaun Watson rumors, I don't blame him for that. And speaking of the latest Deshaun Watson rumors, this thing continues to change by the minute. Like literally right before we started filming, I'm in the Twitter Spaces with Chops, and it's a fun spot to be in. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do so, because a lot of great info coming out of it. So shout out to everyone who's helped organize that. It's been a great forum for getting the Browns Deshaun Watson news and rumors out, but it's gone back and forth. Benjamin Albright, who's been pretty good on keeping up with everything Deshaun Watson, said in the Twitter Spaces on Tuesday night that the Browns are in last place, and he thinks the Saints and the Panthers are well ahead of them. And now we're seeing FanDuel Super Bowl odds change literally moments ago, putting the Browns way up from where they were earlier, now to 25-1, and they used to make 40-1. And Vegas usually not wrong. So is this a sign of Vegas believes Watson's going to the Browns? Or is this a sign that Vegas is hedging their bets just in case he, goes 180 and goes to Cleveland after it's all said and done? So that could be what's developing there. Where do you think Watson's going to end up in 2022, though? Give me CLE for Cleveland or O for other. It's tough to say. I want to believe the Browns, of course, but he's been Albright, who's been on the beat for a while now, is pretty confident. You're in fantasy land if you think that Deshaun Watson's going to go to a cold weather city. It's either going to be the Panthers or the Saints, maybe the Falcons. My big question is, what is Andrew Berry's backup plan? When he set off on this path, on this journey to get Deshaun Watson, he knew it would come at a price. That if he didn't land Deshaun Watson, then that would mean Baker Mayfield would also be done in Cleveland. And so, what's plan B? It can't be Case Keenum. And we look at what's out there, right? There's no more Kirk Cousins. He got extended in Minnesota. Russ and Rodgers are out of the conversation. Garoppolo is yet to be traded, and that's probably the most realistic. I don't think Derek Carr gets traded, but I got to put someone on the screen. Mariota's an intriguing name. Winston's still a free agent. And then you got the draft. And I don't like any of the quarterbacks in this draft class. And I hope Barry doesn't either, because I'd rather wait to draft a QB next year if you want to go down the let's draft a new QB path. But those are the 5 best options out there. I think Jimmy G is the best realistic of the bunch. I don't think he's better than Derek Carr, but I don't think Carr's leaving the Raiders. Las Vegas has been pretty open that they want Derek Carr. Now, we didn't think Russell Wilson was necessarily going to get dealt, but then that happened. I don't think they're apples to apples, but you look at what Jimmy G did in 2021 for the 49ers, and I don't know how much of an upgrade that is from Baker Mayfield. I think it's an upgrade for like one season maybe, but here's my kind of overall take on this, which is if you want to have a stopgap quarterback for a season, why would you not just do Baker Mayfield one more season? Well, that's where I kind of come to, which is if you don't want Baker long term and you want to draft a quarterback or go a different direction soon, why trade for Garoppolo? Why give up a second rounder if it's only going to be for a year? And then you're going to reset in 2023 with either a rookie quarterback or getting a different veteran QB. If you are only looking at the 2022 QB as a one-year guy, whether it's Baker or someone else, why get a more expensive Garoppolo that's going to cost you a second or third rounder? Maybe it's good, his value is deteriorating with that shoulder surgery. But I just don't see the value in getting a more expensive one-year guy. I don't think Garoppolo is going to be a one-year QB that can take you to the Super Bowl and then go, peace out, enjoy C.J. Stroud next year. So, with that in mind, we'll switch gears and get onto the free agency side of things. But first, I want to tell you about our sportsbook partner, BetUS. We're seeing Super Bowl odds change for the Browns. So, if you want to bet on Cleveland right now to win the Super Bowl, probably the best odds you're going to get if a Deshaun Watson trade does happen. It's going to go way down in terms of Vegas' favorites. Or you can bet on March Madness. Here are the top 5 favorites to win the big dance. Gonzaga at number 1. I like the Bulldogs because I like storylines for March Madness, and I think it'd be pretty fitting after getting their asses kicked against by Baylor last year to come back and win it all in 2022. The Browns, as I was falling asleep last night, did sign Jakeem Grant, so let's explore this news option here, or this news story. Signed him to a 3-year deal worth up to nearly $14 million, probably a lot of incentives in there, don't have all the full details yet. He was a Pro Bowler for the Bears last year after he got traded midseason from Miami to Chicago, and was a spark plug, right? He was a catalyst for this Bears special teams unit, and really good at punt and kick returns. So in receiving, but we look at what he did in terms of punt returning last year, and he was one of the best punt returners. That's right, he was a Pro Bowl player, got a touchdown, and you just don't see the splash on special teams like we used to with Cribbs. But it would be fun to see Jakeem Grant, because I wasn't all that impressed with DPJ and Felton last season at that punt return duty. It was so-so, but Grant is a big step up. So grade the signing for me, A, B, C, D, or F. It's not going to change, drastically the Cleveland Browns 2022 season, but you start to put little pieces together, and those kind of players can step up and make big plays, because he's got Tyreek Hill flashes at times. Keyword is flashes. Don't come away with this thinking he's Tyreek Hill mini, but he's got that kind of speed and elusiveness, almost like he just doesn't have a hip bone. He can just, move on a dime, that kind of player, but he's got some issues with the drops and just overall route running, things like that. But he can be a fun gadget player, no doubt about that. Other news to talk on in today's show. The Browns, according to Jeremy Fowler, who tweeted this out, are going to release tight end Austin Hooper as a post-June 1st. That's very important. Not right now, but post-June 1st. Well, at least the money will be a post-June 1st. So let's look at what a post-6-1 release is. 2022 cap savings, $9.5 million. The dead cap, only 3.7, but they do have a $7.5 million 2023 dead cap. So this is Andrew Berry just kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit, right? Like, all right, well, we'll save a good amount of money this year, but $7.5 million for 2023, it's a good amount of change going to a tight end, right? It's not like it's a QB, and that's not that much money in that grand scheme of things. But in 2 seasons for Austin Hooper, played nearly 30 games. He was underwhelming, right? This was not the signing we all were hoping it would be coming over from Atlanta. Just didn't work out. I can't give you a great X's and O's reason as to why it didn't work out, especially with the affinity that Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski have for heavy tight end formations, but that's the end of Hooper in Cleveland. So do you agree with the release of Austin Hooper? I'm expecting to see a bunch of A's for agrees, but if you're, I don't know, maybe you're Austin Hooper. You're like, I actually just bought a house, so I don't want to move. Type D for disagree. Or you hate moving. That's a good point, too. I don't like moving. Had to move like a year ago. All right, next story on today's show. Adam Schefter tweeting out a one-year, $5 million deal for linebacker Anthony Walker and the Browns, per his sources, Drew Rosenhaus and Ryan Mathis. So Walker, who came over from the Colts last offseason, signed a one-year deal. Wasn't really sure if he'd be sticking around again, but the Browns ultimately decided, you know what, let's go with the cheaper route here, and we don't have to devote a higher draft capital to a linebacker. I kind of felt like they were going to go separate ways, but in 13 games, he was good when he was out there, right? He got hurt early on in the season. But when he kind of got snapped back into form, him and Joe Kay were a nice 1-2 duo at that linebacker position when they were running a lot of nickel and dime packages. All right, guys, if you have not subscribed, make sure you go ahead, hit that big red button because we got a ton of Browns news and rumors coverage coming at you throughout all of NFL free agency. So make sure you are locked into the channel. That way you never miss a thing. Hit that big red button because here's the deal. The Baker Mayfield trade happens, a Deshaun Watson move happens, we're going to have you in the know. We're probably going to be going live on this Cleveland Browns Report channel here on YouTube. So make sure you are subscribed. Help us reach 6,000 subscribers. That's the next milestone. We crossed 5,500 just the other day. So make sure you are subscribed, and that way you never miss a thing about your Cleveland Browns.